Bell rolls is the reporter thrown into the secretive world of the Forex Super Model, where nothing is as it seems. Beware the techno monk, and steer clear of Professor Code and his two assistants. Give the senior trader a wide berth, and don't expect any sense from the risk manager.
Good morning, I'm Professor Code and this is the Forex Super Model daily review for, Wednesday the 27th of the 10th, October 2021. Time is just coming up to 0425 GMT, Asian session coming to a close, European session firing up, our lunchtime, North American session. Right, Tuesday the 26th then, this is the last trading day. Yesterday we had a negative unopposed driver in the yen at minus 142, no backdoor flows, the opposing positive flows mainly going into the pound at plus 71, into the dollar at plus 54, and the euro was the positive rock at plus 17, activity plus or minus 142. Intra-week then, this is from Monday the 25th open to about 15 minutes ago. We got a negative opposed driver in the yen, minus 170, front and back door flows mainly going into the pound at plus 157, into the dollar at plus 78, and the euro is a negative rock at minus 65, activity plus or minus 235. Right, so the yen has been weak and driving. It's fully weak yesterday. It was the unopposed negative driver, and these opposing positive flows have been going into the pound and the dollar, with the euro coming up yesterday into positive territory. So that's where we are there. If we look at the intraday flows, which is the Asian session to about 15 minutes ago, we got a negative unopposed driver in the dollar this time, minus 16. Front and back door flows mainly going into the yen at plus 14, into the euro at plus 2, and the pound is the neutral rock at 0. So we've got a reversal in these flows. We've got yen strength, so yen's strengthening up, the euro strengthening up, the pound's weakening, and the dollar's weakening. So that's where we are. We'll write up the flows now and stop it. Right, we're back. We've written up the flows then. So the euro is weak except against the dollar, the CAD, and the NZD. The yen is strong except against the AUD. The pound is strong except against the yen and the AUD and the Swiss. The Swiss is strong except against the yen and the AUD. The CAD is weak except against the NZD. The AUD is strong across the board. The NZD is weak across the board, and the dollar is weak except against the CAD and the New Zealand. Right, so let's have a look what we got. We've got AUD strength across the board, NZD weakness across the board, and we've got a sort of a mixed picture. We've got dollar weakness, and with the CAD pretty weak and the NZ weak, and on the strong side we've got the yen, the AUD and the Swiss being strong. Right, so take your pick around the rest of it. So what's been knocking it about? Well, we've had this AUD CPI which came in neutral to positive, and that sort of partially explains the pump up in the AUD. We've got US durable goods today and Bank of Canada rates decision. So that's and the CAD's soft really, apart from the New Zealand dollar, which is the weakest of the lot. So that tells you a little bit. Tomorrow, Thursday the 28th, then we've got Bank of Japan rates decision and the ECB rates decision and US GDP. So we've got 3 rates decisions coming up very shortly. On Friday, last trading day of the week, we've got German GDP German GDP and European CPI and GDP. So interesting end to the week there really. Right, we'll stop that there, write up the asset classes and then do the final analysis. Right, we've written up the asset classes then. So US dollar index basically had a big pump up in the past. It's now come back, it came off and now it's come back a little bit. It's 0.29 from the high, 29% off the modelled high. Gold is above half marks now, it's 0.47 from the high, and oil is still maintaining this break. It's plus 0.47 from the resistance, so it's broken out nearly 50% from the resistance. Wall Street and S&P did this breakout yesterday, and they've stayed above it Wall Street is 0.05 above the resistance, and the S&P is 0.1 above the resistance. So 5% break on the Wall Street, 10% break on the S&P, and the tech went up to the highs and then came back down. It's 0.05 from the high, so it's 5% below the high. So we've still got this sort of lag in the tech, but it had a little look at the highs yesterday, and then inevitably found some sellers. Right, US 10-year in the bund. This is the prices. Prices have been coming off, yields have been coming up. We've had this bouncing prices, rising yields. US 10-year 0.20 from the floor, and the bund is 0.20. So they're both 20% above the floor. So we've got this rising prices in the bonds, and falling the yields, relatively speaking. Right, copper had this break, and it's now come back to roughly where the resistance is, and this break was roughly 40%, and it's come back to, so it's 0.4 from the high. And US steel is coming up gradually. It's 0.36 from the floor. It's a third off the floor, but still nothing to write home about. Right, so we'll get rid of that and do the final analysis then. So we've got some data. We've got some rates decisions out, and we've had some neutral to positive AUD CPI data on inflation, which is helping the Asian session, the AUD, getting a good lift. So let's have a look then. Let's grab this. Right, so what have we got? We've got the majors, we've got the dollar, the euro, the yen and the pound. We've got the CAD, the AUD, the NZD and the Swiss and the outside. Right, so we've got a rates decision coming up for the euro, the yen and the CAD. The AUD's just had positive to neutral CPI. What else have we had? Right, we've got, if we look at the flows, the yen, we had this big equity pump yesterday, so the equities have been on the up, and we had this yen fully weak. So we had yen fully weak, and now in the Asian session we're starting to see a bit of a reversal, so we're starting to see yen strength. The pound has been strong, and we're now starting to see potential for weakness in the pound. And the dollar had this sort of look, and it's starting to think about bouncing. And the euro sort of stuck in the middle. Now, if you remember yesterday, we suggested that what was it? Long AUD, NZD, and long. Short. We were looking at short pound dollar. Now. The overall situation then is that this lot, we're a little bit ahead of the game on long AUD and NZD. It's starting to come up now, but that's where we are. So you've got this CAD, you've got oil is at the highs, and doesn't see and wants to sort of stick there at the moment. So arguably we're not going to see a major sell-off in the dollar at the moment unless oil starts collapsing. Gold has stalled, so gold is sort of neutral, and therefore you've got this scenario. So today we've got this US durable goods and the Bank of Canada race decision. So you could see a neutral to positive in the dollar, which will put the cap on. Initially, but if you get a strong durable goods orders, you could well see a continuation in this equity drive. So the likelihood is you're going to get a pause in yen weakness, and then maybe if we get good strong data, you're going to start to see back into the normal, which will be yen weakness and risk on flows. So it's a little bit early to say what's going on because we've got two very data dependent issues. We've got US durable goods and Bank of Canada rates decisions. So that's where we are. Oil's very high, and the CAD is relatively weak at the moment. So if oil stays there and you get a little bit of hawkishness from the CAD, and the CAD, remember the CAD data cycle is very strong at the moment, so you're likely to see a bounce in the CAD. So the CAD is something to look out for today. We believe it's likely to start charging up the CAD. So the CAD complex, and what's it going to charge up against? Probably the yen. So CAD yen would be a reasonable place to go long once the CAD gets the message. So that would be our thing to look at today. But obviously it all depends how things are intermingled. But generally, if you want to look at CAD yen long as things develop, then that's not a bad place to start. So I hope that was useful. See you tomorrow for the daily briefing. Thanks for watching.